because we just, had a little to and fro before we came on. And there's a whole thing about mold, isn't there, that's impacted you? Could we
Yes.
talk about that and how that's relevant to this clutter and what you're speaking about here today?
Absolutely. And so when I think about clutter, I like to categorize it into 3 different buckets. We have the mind clutter, so the thoughts that are holding us back. Often mind clutter will look like, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough, I'm too much, I'm too loud. These are thoughts that we took on as children, and they've been with us ever since, and they're not serving us. And so resentment is another form of mind clutter. Wishing other people would change their behavior. That's clutter as well. We only have control over our own actions, not anybody else's. And so we will fill up our heads with all of these thoughts that aren't really designed to serve us. And so when we get curious about those thoughts, we're able to take our power back and start to think more intentionally. Or really what I like to say is we learn to think on purpose. We learn to think in a way that will serve us instead of just embracing all of these subconscious thoughts that are designed to kind of keep us stuck in time. So that's mind clutter. Excuse me. Then I move to body clutter. And body clutter is the way I like to think about it. Any input that you're bringing into the body that doesn't serve you. So you just heard me cough, right? My coughing is due to toxic mold. Now, not everybody is sensitive to mold. Most people can inhale it and excrete it, no problem. 24% of the population, however, has a certain genetic tendency to be very sensitive. It's called the HLA-DR gene. And unfortunately, we breathe in the mold, and you can't even see it often, but we're breathing in the spores, and we don't have a way to excrete those spores. And so they just cycle inside our bodies, and their byproducts are called mycotoxins, and those make us very sick.
And just to interject here, before you get on to your third one, but just to say for people that are perhaps not aware, we've got this big combo between mold and EMFs. So we know, so Dr. Klinghardt did a little study on this, and we know that EMFs upregulate this, the adverse effects of mold, if you want. So, and like what you're saying is like mold's like everywhere pretty much. Well, so is EMFs. And so this is another reason why people are increasingly sick, because there's increasing amounts of exposures of EMFs. And are there increasing exposures of mold? I don't know, but even if the mold exposures are static, then the EMFs are doing their little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And so the EMFs are exacerbating my mold symptoms. And so I have to be very intentional about how much I'm in front of a computer. And I have an online business, but what happens is that the EMFs will agitate the mold spores in my body. And so they'll get agitated and angry, and they'll produce even more mycotoxins. And those are what make me so sick. And so
that's something you can feel like now.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I used to be more sensitive. So about a year ago, it was very hard for me to get in front of a computer if I wasn't wearing any kind of device or anything like that. It would take me about 4 minutes and I would start to get nauseous. And I'd try and I'd push my computer as far away as I could. And it definitely, there was a proximity, like I could feel it. But as I heal and as I get better, I'm able to tolerate more and more, because it's all about that like overall toxic body burden that
exactly. And we'll talk about that. I'd love for you to share what you did.
Some other body clutter that I really want to mention briefly, because so many of us actually create mind clutter over this type of body clutter. And it is food. And so when I say that food can be clutter, it's because those types of foods are causing symptoms in the body. If you eat something and there's no symptom, I like to think of food as neutral. But if you are eating foods that are causing symptoms where you have headaches or adult acne or you swell up, that is your body saying, I'm doing the best with the inputs you're giving me, but these inputs aren't serving us, your body and you. And please don't put these inputs inside of me as often as you are.
Or else.
So, yes. And so
you will hear about this.
You will hear about it. Yes, the body will come talking to you. And so sometimes, I have a clutter story, I have a mold story, I have a weight story. And I used to think, well, I can't have anything sweet because it's bad for me. And I want to say that I believe in splurging. I think splurging is important on any protocol. But you don't want to eat a sweet and then be angry about it, because then you're creating a net negative. You're creating mind clutter about something you ate. And so what I like to say is, have your sweets, just be intentional about them so that you can enjoy them fully. And there's no mind clutter. And frankly, when you are enjoying something fully, you are going to absorb whatever good is in that item more than if you're hating yourself while you're doing it.
Of course. And
so I just wanted to mention food briefly because it's such a large input. What else when it comes to body clutter? Water. So again, in the United States, our water system is not very healthy or clean. And so you want to make sure that you've got filters on your showers and so forth. And really, those are the important ones. So it's the food you eat, the air you breathe, and the water you consume, whether you drink it or bathe in it. Those are the three main forms of body clutter. And then we move to home clutter. And so with home clutter, yes, of course, it's the closets that are just bursting, or it's the countertops that you can't see because there's so much on top. But there are also those other unusual forms. So for example, anything that creates sensory overload. So if you have the evening news on every single day and it's pouring out these negative messages, how do you feel when you listen to negative messages? Do you feel uplifted and energetic and ready to put some good into the world? No. So that is clutter. And I don't blame the news stations. They are a business and they know that they will have more people listening if they report the bad or their perception of what's going on. And it's always bad. But that is clutter. And we have
maybe it's just propaganda. That's the conclusion I'm coming to.
I mean, all the time it's propaganda. All the time is my
Not
opinion.
really news. No.
But I will tell you, I keep my TV off. Yeah. I keep my radio. My radio is usually playing like some classical or whatever my kids like. And I don't listen to the news. I seek the news that I want to find. But most of what's coming into the home without a filter is designed to create fear inside of you. And that is clutter. That is sensory overload, and that is clutter.
There is actually quite a bit of science behind this clutter. Stuff like decluttering. A study from UCLA talks about high density of household objects and elevated cortisol. Yes. Another one, clutter can increase negative feelings. So we're talking about physical clutter here. We're not talking about mind clutter. This is all like physical, classical clutter.
But anytime you talk about physical clutter, we have mind clutter about that physical clutter as well.
It. Yeah, it goes with it. And clutter can decrease our ability to focus and be productive. Mayo Clinic, not just anybody, Mayo Clinic. Clutter can cause sleep loss by Princeton University, and it can impact your weight. So let's just explore the why a little more, of why people have got clutter. And I guess there's a lot of reasons, because it depends what you're cluttered with. But I guess the main one, if I was to take a stab at it, is lack. It's because fear of lack.
FOMO.
Fear of
missing out.
Yes.
And that is intentional. There's a physiology component as well, because when we hit the buy now button, even if you're on your computer and that buy now button and you hit that, there is a chemical response happening in the body. The body is celebrating. It's lifting up the pom-poms and cheerleading. Yay, we bought something. It feels so good. And it's a party inside. And we like how that feels, that hit of dopamine. And so it's we've got the physiological response saying, buy it, buy it, buy it. It's going to feel so good. And then we have the psychology of, I don't want, or I don't want to be the one left out. I don't want to be the last one to buy it. The FOMO. And so, of course, that's why I say no judgment. If you're looking around your space right now and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I have so much. I'm so embarrassed. How did I let it get this way? And you start to judge yourself. Well, the judgment is mind clutter. That's not going to help you. Let that go. And just know that it's very understandable.
Fantastic. Listen, Heather Aardema, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you so much. It's been such a sincere pleasure, and I hope this will be helpful.
And thank you, listener, for attending this interview. And all my interviews are in the EMF Expert Solutions Club with transcripts. Until next time, have a wonderful day. My name is Lloyd Burrell from electricsense.com. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.